Okay, I want to do a video on Namor, but also a video on like positioning around non-mobile DPS heroes. I know people have asked for that quite a bit, and Namor I think is a good choice because he's the anti-dive. He's like the opposite of Psylocke. So this will be a positioning video for both like him and like off angling as a DPS that's non-mobile, but also how to position your squids to help you win games a little bit easier. And, to saying that, by the way, because this is a video that's heavily about positioning, I highly recommend that if you haven't seen my first, positioning 101 video, I think that that is a prerequisite to this one. Like, absolutely, please watch that one first and then watch this video because how you position your squids is the same thought process as to how you would position in that video. Um, so yeah, I will leave a link to the in the description of this one to that one, so that way it makes it easier. But yeah, I will now begin to show you, how to position, how to fight on Namor. Now, mind you, this is by the way, this was me playing an account where I was learning Namor. I wasn't allowed to play any of the heroes I knew how to. Um, limited experience and limited time. So I will fumble my way through this as well. There's a couple of mistakes of my own that I make that I will point out. Now, immediately, we lose two people. Spider-Man got bursted and Luna died, so now we have to play defensively and passively, and at this point, we're just trying to get ult charge while we wait for our team. When you can't push forward and you have to wait for your team, you have to play really passively and wait for them to regroup with you. You have to just try and charge your ults the best you can because that's all you can do. You can't win a 4v6 fight without your team. And now Spider-Man is back, but Namor is controlling the space up front. And I know that we are still waiting for our Luna, so I'm not playing super aggressive. Even though I know Namor is up there, I'm not trying to make a play with with us only having one support. It's better just to play a little slow and wait for your team. Here, what you're going to notice is every time that I use my bubble, I'm using my bubble preemptively, sort of trying to predict the damage rather than waiting for the damage. Your defensive abilities that you have in this game should be used to predict when damage is about to happen because if you're only reacting, you're usually dead by the time that you are fully reacting. So the moment I started to take too much damage, I immediately hit my bubble and I tried to get out and get healed by my supports and get lower myself into a position where I could get healed. So here I'm just pumping damage, and once again, as I'm taking damage, I'm backing up and putting myself behind cover. I'm standing still for a couple of seconds to get healed back to full, and then I'm walking forward again. And now that I know that we have our team, now I'm trying to off angle, right? This whole game is about trying to, off angle as DPS. You can do it as Psylocke, you can do it as a non-mobile DPS. There's always a bunch of pathways you can take. Uh, so if my team is here, and there's an enemy here, if all of us are standing next to each other, then there's a bunch of damage that even if this person is just shooting in a straight line, they're going to end up hitting one of us, right? Whereas if instead my team is here, I go around to the side and I try to look at the enemy from this way. Now this enemy has a choice, right? Uh, will they shoot at me or will they shoot at the enemy here? And also, if there's cover here that this person is hiding behind, then I can get to a point where that cover doesn't mean as much. And even if we don't get the kill on this person, it will force them to back up. This is why you try to off angle. But this is the part of playing DPS where, especially on offense, you need to take risks. You need to control that space. So here I go to the side and I try throwing out all three of my squids at once to hit a right click. And it doesn't work. And as it doesn't work, I know that I'm about to get bursted, so I start to back up. My shift in this room might keep me alive, but it's not the best place to use it. I also see that we lose our Doctor Strange. So once again, we are down a player, so I am playing a bit more passively. I'm trying to get ult charge while just waiting for my team to come back. I hide behind this section here because as he dropped a squid, where is it? There we go. As he dropped a squid, I can hit the squid from this angle without them seeing me, right? And as she used her ability, she missed because of the fact that I was standing in that spot. Once again, I took a chunk of damage. I immediately hit shift. I am just trying to hide. And my Luna was hitting and missing a couple of shots, so I just went to the health pack instead. This was a bad ult because I thought he was going to push in. And what I should do, and what I learned actually in this moment after this, if there is an enemy here, and I try to drop an ult directly on top of his head, that's a bad idea. Because it's much easier for him to walk out if he happens to already start walking back beforehand. So what I want to do, if there is an enemy here and my team is here, I want to drop the ult sort of more like this. So that way he has a choice. He can either walk into my team, which is worse for him, or he can back up into the alt, which is also bad. So it's better more as a zoning tool than it is at just trying to drop it on them perfectly. And that would have really helped secure this guy much faster, um, instead of stalling out like this. So we start to take a little bit of space, and I start to go once again. Once I realize like I'm with my team, I kind of want to go to a different side. I don't really like stacking up on top of each other. So I go to a different side, put on some squids, oops, and I hit a right click, or hit squids and do some damage. Now I realize that my team is doing damage. My invisible woman ult is on point. Their cloak and dagger ult is on point. Luna's ulting, and because of the fact that Luna is ulting, I feel a bit more safe to walk out without cover because I just don't have to worry about dying super easily. I'm not worried about the rocket ult at the moment. So I throw down my squids, and I immediately try and hit a right click on the raccoon, which helps secure the kill. And now this squid right here is very important. I threw my squid up on this wall. Now this squid can't specifically hit Namor, which is fine. What I'm trying to do is make sure that I can create an off angle with my squids. So now everyone up here, or everyone in this area on the enemy team, is going to start taking damage from this guy, and they also have to worry about me, and they also have to worry about the enemy team. So now they're taking damage from multiple locations, and they have a choice: do we deal with the squid, or do we deal with the people that are in front of us? And that puts them in a very difficult position, right? That's just a bunch of extra damage. My squids will time out before they will end up shooting the squid. Here I see the Moon Knight on the side, so I try to get a pick, and you see how like I didn't even lose necessarily all of my health or anywhere close to like being super low, but I don't want to get bursted. I don't want to suddenly, I don't want to try and react to these abilities. I want to try and predict them and just use my bubble just in case, rather than die and be like, oh, I still had it up. Because sometimes, playing Moon Knight, you see how it goes. Sometimes you can just take a chunk of damage, and I wasn't about to take that chance. Anyway, I saw my team had died. Everybody had used a bunch of ults, so I was going to die and reset. But at this point, I knew the enemy team had used a bunch of their ults, and we still had Strange, we still had my ult, we still had Mr. Fantastic, so I was confident about pushing forward. We had a slow start due to the staggers. And that really like hindered us in terms of finding our momentum. And these types of games are all about momentum. At this point, Doctor Strange was talking about portaling, and I said go for the portal. I actually wanted to stay here with my invisible woman because I wanted to pull attention this way while they teleported behind them. And I personally like when a support and a DPS go one way to off angle and the rest of the team goes another way, because you create two very strong positionings that way. Once again, I threw out my damage early, or threw out my bubble early to try and predict the damage. Once again, I'm throwing a squid up on one side, so that way my squids are shooting from up here, this angle, and then I'm going to come around from this angle. I heard a Strange ult, so I threw down my ult on top of it, which wasn't necessary. I just heard him ult, so I was going to I'm going to help to see if there's anybody in there, and he didn't need it. It was a bit of a waste, but sometimes it happens. Once again, as I'm taking damage and I'm trying to kill the rocket, I take too much, I bubble early. But because of the fact that I got rocket low, it was easy cleanup for the rest of my team. I stay alive. Moon Knight's trying to hit me in the air, and I take a little bit of damage, not enough to kill me, but I stay behind cover because I know that the Moon Knight can't see me. I know that my team has basically won the fight, and before going back out, I'm like, hey, I know that this Moon Knight is here. I can kill him if I get a little bit of a top off to be sure. I don't want to take my lead and then throw it. I want to take my lead and then use it to my advantage. So I get a little bit of health. I throw it on a squid to keep Moon Knight in a bad position, and then once again, my squid creates an off angle. My squid is controlling this side. I am now coming in from this side. I am pincering in on this Moon Knight, and it makes for easy kill. You don't want to just throw your squids out in places where, if you just throw your squids directly in front of you and then you put like two squids directly on top of each other, people shooting will naturally just kill both on their own, right? And even if they're shooting and they'll just accidentally hit your enemy or your teammates, they'll accidentally hit you. You want to think about your squids as sort of like mini DPS. which is what they are, but like, you know, where you would position a mini DPS. Because once again, right there, I throw it. I tried probably to hit this wall, but still, I got it behind this curved section here, which means that in the LOS of anyone down this lane here, they're going to have a hard time seeing that squid, which means it's perfect for shooting at rocket. The squid takes a little bit of damage, but you still hear the squid shooting and getting some hits while also staying alive. Me and Mr. Fantastic come up here, and what's even though the payload is at the back, and luckily we still have we have one person on it moving. What we did is we came up here to control this space early, right? Because if we control this space, that means that we control this area, and we can much more easily control this lane over here as well. And watch, now with that squid up top, I have 2 angles of damage coming in at the enemy, right? They have to make a choice. Are they going to look at me or are they going to look at the squids?
This is real firepower.
Because of that, I'm able to hit the Luna and get a kill. Now, I know you probably might not be able to tell. I'm inside of my Invisible Woman's ult, so I know that I'm safe. So I'm going to destroy the squids first. Using your squids when the enemy team's support ults are up is a bit of a waste. Like, nothing's going to die, and you're just going to destroy the squids. And then when the ult runs out, you're not going to have any way to actually secure any kills. So that's the reason why, like, I'm not using my squids. And now that ults are over, now I'm going to use my squids. And you see how much damage my squid is getting by just being up there and being left alone for the most part, because of the fact that it's in a very difficult place to hit and they have a choice. Like, am I going to shoot the squid or am I shoot the team? So I use this ult because I see they're all back there. The Cloak and Dagger ult had run out. And as soon as the Cloak and Dagger ult runs out, then I know I'm safe to use my ult. And what I did is gave a perfect opportunity for my squids or my Thor or everyone else to do damage. And even if I can't kill these people, I can push them all back. And I can ignore the group behind me because of the fact that if I push all of them back, even if I don't necessarily get a kill, the Groot's going to die because he's now in a bad position. I have zoned them out completely. Because I am now controlling this space. And Groot does die. I throw down a squid because of the fact that Strange had ulted, and I try to stand still, seeing if we can't get a pick. But Luna ult is freaking strong, so nothing dies. And once again, the squid that went up onto that wall is very important because of the fact that if they are out into this area at all, that squid can see them and do damage. So basically, I have forced them to say, hey, you have to stay in here. This is your area, and we are going to collapse on you because this area is under our control. Because of the fact that we have so much momentum, she is going to be taking damage, and anybody that comes out to help is going to find they're getting shot by a squid, and that squid is going to stay alive because they don't have the time to try and shoot it down. Because you can see all and hear all the different times that the squid is just pumping damage. Like, they don't have a chance to even shoot it down. A lot of times, people are throwing down their squids and they just get destroyed instantly, and it's just a huge waste. Moon Knight ulted, and even though I didn't take any damage, I don't trust Moon Knight ult. I don't know if it's PTSD, but I just immediately bubble because I'm like, I'm just going to get myself out of this and make sure I'm safe so that way I don't throw our lead. Destroying the squids early. I immediately throw a squid up on this wall because of the fact that if someone did touch, then that squid would immediately be shooting at them and nobody would be around to shoot the squid in return. Luckily, we were able to cap, but the thought process was still going of like, I want to shoot or throw my squid in a position where they're not going to be able to see it, and the person on point is just going to get pressured out faster. Because I'm playing the objective. I'm not playing for kills. I'm controlling that space with my squids. I throw a squid on that wall specifically because of the fact I'm like, if anybody pushes out past this point, then the squid's going to damage them. And luckily with our rocket ult, we push them back. As Thor is damaging all of them and they're distracted by Thor, I throw out a squid just to add to the extra damage. I rarely throw out squids that are directly in front of everyone, but there's occasionally times where your team is engaging, it might be worth it. I'm staying on objective, and as soon as I see Rocket standing on objective, I can move forward. I don't need to be there because Rocket can shoot heals from the back. So here I'm trying to control the space. This squid, once again, super important. This squid is in a position where it's going to hit anyone who walks past into this area here. That squid is going to shoot anyone that's over there. But anyone that's coming out of spawn can't see that squid. It's impossible for them to hit it without putting themselves into a position where they are pressured out. So now, once again, they have a choice. What are you going to do? Are you going to shoot at the enemies that are in this direction shooting at you? Are you going to shoot at me? Or are you going to turn around and shoot the squid? Either way, I'm going to win that fight. If I could land a spear, and I can't, but luckily my invisible woman gets the kill. But look, that squid is still shooting. I throw down my ult to zone. The squid is still up shooting. The squid timed out, I believe, before it actually got destroyed. Once again, I'm holding my squids until I see the cloak ults start to run out, and then I throw them down. That squid was there specifically to, once again, face the back line. You know, people over here wouldn't be able to see it easily, but if anybody like Penny were to push out too far, or Wolverine, the squid would be able to shoot them. But it doesn't help much in this location when he dives past everyone to ult, which is fine.
Like the tide, Namor always rises again. Relay deployed. It ain't cheap.
Positioning on non-mobile DPS is no different than the mobile DPS. It's just you can't take as aggressive as angles, but what you lack in mobility, you make up for in damage potential. Here, I do go for a play because of the fact that this is one of the things you have to do as DPS. DPS means you have to take risks. It means you have to off angle, you have to push yourself forward, and you have to try and make a play. Because if I push forward and I take out someone from this angle using my squids, I give our team a huge advantage. So I figure it's worth it because we've regrouped and they don't see it coming, that I'm going to give it a shot. And then I immediately go this direction rather than the other way because my supports can't see me if I go in that room. And this one is bad because it didn't really work out. At the same time, our rocket res was used by Thor, so I wasn't expecting them to see me that quickly. But I use my abilities to put myself in a position where, once again, I am safe. And as my team is cleaning up everyone down here, even though I hear the Punisher ulting, I have this cover here, right? I am always mindful of where I want my position to be. I can be on high ground and I can be away from everyone down here. So Wolverine has to make a choice to use his leap to get up here. Punisher's over here, but I can shoot everyone in this area. It's always about keeping mindful of your position, where the threat is, and taking calculated risks. Squids that are now facing the objective versus just thrown out there. So now if Wolverine puts his head out, he immediately gets destroyed. I throw it on the squid, and unfortunately Luna had just ulted. Doesn't really help out. Once again, I'm throwing my squid in a place where it's like it's doing damage and causing pressure to everyone that steps out past that point. Can't do much here. I throw a squid there to predict if Wolverine was to dive on top of us. We don't get the cap, unfortunately. But we did fine. And yeah, where am I? 16-2, 7 final blows. Not too bad, not too great. You can see it was relatively even across the board from both teams. So here I am just trying things out. I throw a couple of squids early, which was a bit of a waste because they didn't push up as fast as I thought they would. And now I'm just trying to throw spears at long range, trying to get some ult charge. Because you see I'm at like 15%, and I'm always being mindful. I'm turning around because I'm paranoid about flankers. Throw a squid up to see if I can get some damage, help my team, and to stop divers like that from happening. And once again, that squid right there Because the entire enemy team is in this area, that squid is in a position where it's hard for them to see it. So people pushing up in this area, pushing forward, are then getting damaged by the squid. And that rocket had to push up in order to kill the squid, and it puts him in a bad position. I think he still gets out though. And as I am backing up seeing that our team is getting pressured. And right now, once again, everybody is requiring health. So if I start taking more damage in this time, I'm just putting more stress on my supports. So I'm putting myself in a position to where I can see people, but I can stay out of the line of sight of everyone else. This squid, once again, it's this squid is being mindful of the fact that I'm using this thing as cover. So no one in this area can be able to see it, but anyone who pushes out onto the point, whether it be tank or support, is now going to be, or magic, is going to be taking damage from this squid as well as the rest of my team. And it's safer there. It's going to do more damage over time to help my team in terms of applying pressure than something if I were to just have thrown it in this lane and have the supports kill instantly. There, I get a nice squid right click onto the Luna. And here we've pressured them back. Me playing smart and playing to live is what's helping in this situation. I am backing around cover. I am playing safe. When my team gets pressured, I'm not trying to stress my supports out by standing out in the open. And here I take a bunch of damage. So I right click. I shift and bubble to make sure that I don't die. I throw a squid there because I think Groot is by himself. Help my team get some pressure out. I hear Magic is back here, so I'm like looking around for her. And I throw that squid once again in that defensive spot where the front line of Magic's team can't see it, but it can see Magic. So the moment she steps out, she immediately takes damage. And look, squid is still alive. You don't want to just throw your squids out there without thinking to yourself of like, what's the best position? Where can I use them to off angle? Where can I use them to where they'll be dish out as much pressure as possible? And here I go for, because of the fact that magic is down, I go for a cheeky play and it works. I know that they're playing passively here while they wait for their team to regroup. So I thought to myself, I'm just going to throw down 2 squids and hit a right click and see if I kill someone. And it worked out in my favor. And then I back up because once I do that, like, the trick is gone. Like, you can't just stay in that room and keep doing that because now that they know you're there, they're just going to make a plan for it. So I'm like, oh, I'm just going to change my plan now. Once again, squid in this spot. They can't see it from here. The enemy team can't see it from here. Anybody in this section is going to start getting damaged. So Thor is taking damage from me, from Mr. Fantastic, and now this guy here. My squid is still doing damage that entire time. So much so that it forces their support ults. I throw down a squid to create an off angle on the back line. I throw another one on the wall. I mess up my Namor ult completely. I really don't like my positioning here. I just kind of put myself in a bad spot. But I'm trying to make the most of it as I'm trying to stay alive. I throw my squid up on the wall here because now that squid has a really good angle on everyone down here. And I know the range on these squids is kind of crazy. So I get a good vantage point of the Moon Knight. And as soon as all that chaos was done, I was like, I need to get out of there. I don't like that positioning at all. So I back to a place that's safer and get around cover. And I see Iron Man is like shooting in that area, so I'm trying to avoid it, but I'm also trying to get myself out there so I can help my team out. I throw down a squid just to give my team some help, and now I'm like, I need to get this Iron Man out of the sky. And luckily, with the use of my good squid placement, he helps me. The little squid helps me get a kill. Namor is not specifically just an anti-dive hero. You can play him into any composition as far as I'm concerned. The power of his squids and his abilities is kind of insane. Wolverine's attacking me. Once again, I know I'm like a broken record here. The Wolverine, if he pushes out into my team, there's a squid there. Like, this is how you counter dive. It's not by putting all of your squids and just on the point and letting them do damage. It's being mindful of the squid's positioning as well as your own. My squids usually lots of times time out before they actually end up getting destroyed. There's even Penny there. Penny, who is a more defensive tank, can't really push out super aggressively. So that squid is a great placement because it's like, hey, as soon as you walk out and try and take the point, I'm gonna make your life hell. And I really like that spot for that squid, so I keep tossing it there because of the fact that it's like, hey, you're gonna have a choice. But Penny had a good angle on it. I get a good Namor ult off this time, luckily. I was trying really hard to kill the Luna because I was like, please, please kill the Luna. Please kill the Luna. I got greedy because I was like, if their supports died, if I got both supports, the fight was over. But I didn't. And because one of them lived, she got her ult and she kept the team alive. If I was better and I landed that spear, the game would have been over. My team is dying at this point. Once I recognized the point was gone, I just left. I sidestepped the Wolverine leap, and then throw down some squids to push him out, and luckily use his passive beforehand. Now, using your shift as a mobility move is very dangerous because of the fact that you have to weigh the pros and cons. You can use it to get to yourself to a better like off-angling vantage point, but now I don't have my defensive ability to stay alive. Namor, without that shift on 15-second cooldown, means that I am extremely weak for the next 15 seconds. However, because the payload is still all the way back here, I feel that now is better than using it, in taking this space is better than, just waiting and using it defensively. I had previously looked and saw that the Venom, puppy movie thing, whatever, was already used. So I was like, I can't use that. So the only way up here is to use my shift. So I decide it's worth the risk to use that, and I take my chances. I land a good spear, and once again, I'm throwing my squids now in places where it's just like, hey, squids are shooting from here, I am shooting from here, my team is shooting from here. The team is pressured on 3 angles. I am holding that Luna in place. Now they don't have any support, so I'm like, hey, just pressure him, just pressure him. I'm continuing to throw squids in the same spot where I'm creating that off angle. It's an amazing way to control space because of the fact that I'm using and keeping mindful of the squid's cover, my cover, and targeting everyone in between. I thought I heard somebody, so that's why I walked back here, but apparently just crazy. Squid's creating that off angle once again because of the fact that they're on that upper wall. Anyone in this area ahead is now in their line of sight, and they have a high ground advantage, and I have cover here. So I am in a really safe spot. You see how much damage those squids are outputting, right? Now, once we have the advantage, I can just kind of throw some squids out there because of the fact that I know they're not going to like die immediately. They're not worried about me. They're not worried about the squids. They're just trying to stay alive. Even though I am a Psylocke player, like I actually really enjoy playing Namor. He's a total opposite playstyle. But what I enjoy about Namor is the fact that because I have good understanding of positioning, I have an easy time playing and winning games and getting lots of kills and applying a lot of pressure as Namor because I apply that same thought process of timing and positioning with myself as I would with my squids. And I create so many great off angles just by myself that it makes it a lot of fun. And once again, I'm trying to spread them out too so they're not totally seen. But once again, see how like this is a really good angle to see it from. Yeah, I'm not hitting priority targets, but on defense, I don't really need to necessarily like go for kills. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to keep this objective from moving forward. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a lot of pressure as, Thor is holding this angle, I'm holding this angle, the squids are up here, Penny has got this angle. We have a lot of space controlled, and those squids do a lot of damage. And the only people on the enemy team who could possibly do anything about it can't really walk forward safely and destroy them. So I throw an ult to zone, thinking it might help. I should probably be standing still while I moving around. Aim. Right now we're doing a bunch of ult domino, but my strategy hasn't changed. I hold this space. And I try and trust my team to do the rest. I am putting squids in good positions. I don't know what she was doing there, probably just trying to get herself killed. Again, I know that they are stressed out, so I throw out a squid and just throw it up on that wall. And for some reason, Moon Knight doesn't walk into the ult, so he is pressured out by that squid. You see how, like, even though Invisible Woman ult is up, I had pressured the Moon Knight early to the point that he didn't even feel safe walking out as long as that squid was up. So even though I didn't get the kill, I was like, hey, I'm not even going to let you get any space up here. I'm going to push you back there. And basically, through the duration of the entire Invisible Woman ult. And now, once again, I'm throwing my my squid in a placement to where it's difficult for him to deal with. And as he jumps on me, I know he's going to throw his onk and immediately start to damage me. So I just immediately hit my shift and I get out of it. And now that I know he doesn't have his onk, but I have my squids, he's in a bad spot. And look, I am pushing back that support. That was really lucky, and the fact that I'm not dead here is pure luck. I'm holding this space. I'm trying to hit the Groot, which works out. Oh, wait, it doesn't work out. I'm trying to now, at this point, because of the fact that I lost my good positioning, play safe and try and just get to... I know that we have pressure. It's just a matter of, like, getting to a safe space, getting to a safe place in order to do more damage. And because of the fact that my team is going from this direction, I am wanting to hold this direction. Once again, if everybody's standing next to each other, it's Rock'em Sock'em Robots. You want to hold different directions from each other. And that's it. Because of the fact of just pure pressure alone, we keep them off of the point. So yeah, the way that you position with non-mobile DPS is not much different from mobile DPS. It's just that you take maybe less extreme or less quick off angles, right? Like I said, if your team is coming from one direction, you don't want to all group up in one area because then all the damage being sent out by the enemy is going to hit one of you for sure. And everybody taking too much damage all at once stresses out the supports. So instead, try to figure out as a team where you want to go, right? You can, as your team is going this way, be like, you know what? I have mobility and there's a pathway over here I can jump up to. So I'm going to go over there and apply pressure then from this side. Or like if you have a non-mobile DPS, you're like, I know there's a room over here that I can walk out of and see the line of sight of the enemy. So that way now my team can push this way and I can come over here and push this way, right? And all of what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take those calculated risks and keep in mind of the enemy team comp. Who can dive me? Who can push me out? And even as like, Magic was flanking our backline, right? Let's say, I am here and enemies are here. There's this box here, right? I am putting a squid here because of the fact that the enemy entirely can't see it. And even if the enemy over here tries to off angle, they can't fully see it. In order for the enemy to see it, they need to take an extreme off angle in order to get out there. But by that time, the Magic has already died because she tried to hit a right click and then just dash out and immediately gets hit by a bunch of damage from the squid. Namor is all about positioning. If you have good understanding of how to position yourself in order to stay alive and play a really long time, you can use your that same knowledge towards your squids, and your games just, I don't know, to me, they feel super easy. Because as you can see, I only died 3 times this game, right? As a non-mobile DPS. And it was all because of the fact I'm like, "Okay, how do I wanna position myself? Where's the danger gonna come from?" Using the bubble in ways to predict the damage rather than just, react to the damage. Always be trying to predict the damage, predict what your enemies are going to do. Don't just react. Reacting is slow. Predicting is makes the game feel like it's moving in slow motion practically. Uh, but yeah, if you're ever playing Namor, always try to be mindful of your squid's positioning and where they're going to get the most value. Because the squids are a tool in which to zone your enemies out. They're a tool in which to control space. And you're not necessarily trying to get only assassination picks. Sometimes on offense, uh, if you're playing them more, you do have to try and go for like a pick on their back line, like, taking that calculated risk. But sometimes the best play is just to use those squids to control space and control that damage output and create those off angles for you. But yeah, uh, this was a lot of fun. Learning Namor was actually a blast. I really enjoyed him. And so I hope that I inspire some other people to play Namor. Because yeah, he's actually a lot more fun than I first had thought. So yeah, that was my video on off-angling as a non-mobile DPS and, basically Namor positioning. I hope you guys found this one helpful. And yeah, if I will continue to try and learn other heroes, but it's a slow process. But I know there's a lot of other heroes people want to see me learn. But I hope this was helpful in terms of your general macro knowledge of positioning and off-angling as any DPS. But yeah, anyway, that's it for now. Thanks again for watching.